it's just kind of going back to the fact that the team loves 2D side-on platforming and love classic gameplay, and so we had an opportunity there to put some in the game, and we took it. I don't know that we're thinking about making an arcade game, but we are certainly looking at making much more casual games and games that were produced in a much faster time frame going forward. So, we'll see. Okay, I think we've got another question here from Hutchers. Hutchers is asking, if you had to give aspiring game designers one golden rule to stick to when developing a game such as Alice, what would it be? Well, for us, it's always, like I said earlier, it's always come back to the personalities within the studio that oftentimes define the experience and also really drive what the product ultimately ends up being. And so, for us, one rule that was really important was just flexibility. It was very important for everyone on the team to be aware of the cultural differences, the differences in their interpretations of the IP. Actually, surprisingly, there were a lot of people when we started development that had very different ideas about what Alice meant to them and what it might mean to a potential audience or who the audience was. And so that meant that we had to have a lot of flexibility with each other. I'd say that beyond that, for golden rules, it really, a lot of it oftentimes came back to keeping in mind who your audience was. And so for something like Alice, I was really having to push quite a lot that we needed to keep it casual in nature, as casual as possible, while also still offering the kind of depth that I think more hardcore players might come to expect. And that's very difficult because you sort of threaten to alienate both audiences if you're trying to please them both. And so, at the end of the day, we kind of had to choose which was the style of presentation we thought was more appropriate for the IP in general, and that's where we kind of would generally push towards a more casual presentation or a gameplay mechanic that was fairly simplistic, because we wanted to make sure that the appeal of the game, the IP, wasn't going to be sort of overshadowed by the type of gameplay we were presenting. The next question comes from Belial. I think that's right, Belial. And is there a reason as to why all the characters that perished in the first game came back in the second game? I assume you're talking about the characters in Wonderland. That would be because they don't actually perish. They are figments of Alice's imagination. They are actually pieces of her personality. And the first time around, a character like the Mad Hatter might have represented a concept or an emotion like rage. And so Alice's mind manifested him as an opponent, and by defeating the Mad Hatter, she overcame the rage that had come out of the death of her family. And so this time around, these facets of her mind, they still exist, and they now take on different roles. So where the Hatter may have been representing rage the first time around, this time around he's actually taken the role of a sort of helper, a confidant, someone who Alice is now needing to help out. But again, in helping the Hatter or in killing the Hatter, Alice is helping herself, or she's killing a problem that she has internally. And so, I don't think that characters in Wonderland can ever really truly die unless, in the instance of the first game, there was the threat of Alice being lobotomized, being institutionalized for the rest of her life. That would have meant the death of Wonderland, the death of Alice. And this time around, there's also an external physical threat, and that's also something that's entering into Alice's mind. If that threat is allowed to defeat Alice, then it would destroy Wonderland and destroy these characters, and also destroy Alice as a person. The next question comes from Lily, asking what other games have inspired you. Well, this is a big, long, huge list, and it's actually a list that would have to be shared amongst all of the people on the team. We get inspiration from the craziest places. So our art director, Ken Wong, is a huge fan of Street Fighter, and I'm sure that his fandom found a way to spill over into this game, as inappropriate as that might seem. That may be why we have a 2D side-on section in the game. For me, games like BioShock or a lot of the products from Valve, like Portal and Half-Life, of course, have done a fantastic job of presenting story in interactive products. Ben Kerslake, our creative director, was drawing on titles like Zelda, which had very good, solid core combat mechanics when he was thinking about how to present combat. And our combat designer, Marwin So, was looking at things like God of War when he was thinking about the pacing and feedback of the combat sequences. So I'd say that we were getting inspiration from just about everything we were putting our hands on, and oftentimes that was a very broad spectrum of game genres and game types. The next question is from Matt. He's asking, what is on your t-shirt? And my girlfriend is going to be glad that you asked, because she bought this t-shirt for me in Hong Kong. It is a panda bear who is holding his head up off of his body. She got this for me on a recent trip down to Hong Kong, where she's from. And so she always brings back funny and interesting shirts when she goes down there. And believe it or not, her name, my girlfriend's name, is also Alice, and so she may be watching right now. I'll say hi, and I'm sure that that's very funny to all of you out there that American McGee, in fact, dates Alice. Go figure. I think we're getting to the end here on our questions and running out of time. I think we might take one last question. And so this is from Emma. How did Alice go mad again when in the last game she got cured? Well, you're assuming that she is going mad again. And, I can say, without giving away too much of the story, that the threat this time around is less about Alice losing her mind, less about her going mad, despite the title, Madness Returns, than it is about an external threat that is sort of creeping into Alice's mind. I don't want to sort of go too deep into that, because it threatens to give away what this threat is and what's happening. But this is different from what was happening to her before. What was happening to her before was the psychological damage from the fire, the emotions that she had not dealt with threatening to destroy her. What's happening this time is something from the outside, something that Alice herself, though she's going to find a way to defeat it using Wonderland, using her psychological landscape, it's not necessarily her that's causing the problem this time, if that makes sense. And I don't want to, like I said, dig into that too much, because that would give away a lot of the story. So I think we're going to be wrapping up here. I've been asked by our wonderful friends at EA to pimp some of the product. Today being launch day, I think it's worth mentioning that during this event you can go and order the game directly from Origin, which is EA's new online digital distribution store. And I think that there is a link on the right side of the screen of the event page. At least that's what this email next to me here is telling me. And so you're able to go and get the complete collection via Origin. I have no idea what the complete collection is, but it sounds cool. Maybe I'll go and buy that as well. And I think that's it for my my marketing part of this. And I just want to say to everyone out there, all the fans, all the people who have been supporting the development and Alice throughout, thank you so much. It's been fantastic. I can't tell you how nice it is to not only be done, but also to feel like we finished something that is true to the original, and that we think that you guys are really going to enjoy and find a lot of pleasure in. So thank you. Thank you for joining us today. I'm going to sign off, and yeah, that's it. Actually, I have to sit here for 15 seconds before I sign off, so I'm gonna just look around my desk. There's really nothing to do here. What are you guys doing out there? Yeah. I know, I'm waiting 10 seconds after I say farewell. I'm doing that, yeah. Does that count as my 10 seconds? I think it does. All right, now I have to find the farewell button. All right, guys, see you later.